Alright, and for this final part of this video series, I'm going to try to do a little cleanup and things like that. I may not get to everything I wanted to do, but hopefully I'll at least get to clean up a lot of this code that I have written. Alright, so let's just go ahead and start some minor cleanup. You know, this content view isn't so bad, but we can make some, say, minor changes to it. So, for example, we could pull this lazy V grid out into its own view, and that way we have our choices somewhere else, and that way we don't have to kind of worry about it. Worry about coloring up here. You can kind of reduce this variable up here. So let's go ahead and do that. Just right click, or Control Option click. I can't remember what the shortcut is. Let's do a new file, and it's going to be a SwiftUI view, and we'll just call it Choice Grid View. We'll create it, and what we're going to do in this choice grid view is, of course, we're going to first always bring in our view model. Then we're going to have to do something like that. Actually, you know what? For this particular view, I'm not going to have a preview. And the reason is because when I show in the content view, I'm actually going to load it. And that way, we won't actually need it. Well, let's leave it in for now. We'll figure it out. So next, let's get this content view over here. So I'm going to take everything from this lazy V grid. Let me just cut that. I'm going to put it right here in the body of my choice grid. All right. And it's going to throw some errors, I'm sure. But let's go back here and let's call that. So we called it choice grid view. And of course, we're going to pass in our view model. All right. So again, so you can kind of see now it's even a little bit better, a little bit cleaner to read. So back in our choice grid view, can't find columns in scope because we defined it up here. So if you look at this, we can take this out, and it just makes the code a little bit cleaner to read, I think. Of course, you can go crazy with this kind of refactoring, and it could obviously, make it look better, make it look worse. It could take a lot of time to do it, but ultimately, it's up to you. Again, it's your app, so you get to do whatever you want. Everybody has their own development philosophy. In my mind, if you click build and it works, done pretty well. All right. The other thing we can do here is, we have. I wanted to do a progress here that's saying you are on question, 2 or 5 or something like that. So let's just go ahead and put that in. So we're just going to put a text here. I'm just going to copy this, and we're going to have to put, the ideas here. We're going to put something like question x of y, and we'll have to fill in x of y. Let's make this a little bit smaller. All right. So let's go ahead and just tap into what we have in our view model. Let's see if so view model, we have current question of view model total questions. So what does that look like? All right, questions 1 to 2. Well, there you go. What else can we do? Oh, let's see. This result view here, pretty ugly. So let's go ahead and just drop in some stuff in here that makes it look a little bit better. So I liked, just kind of keeping the consistent kind of navigation stack, Z stack, linear gradient. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's drop this in here. I'm going to put this in here. So we're going to do a Z stack. And let me see if I can get this to line up correctly. All right, so we put the Z stack around the V stack. So it looks a little bit better, at least got the same gradient going. then, we probably, you could probably add like an image or something here. So let's just put turkey here for now. But you could probably have like a happy image here if you wanted to put like a happier image, or if you wanted something like, a better luck next time image or something like that. You could probably put a different image in there, and so you have kind of choices there. Of course, we want to make this probably resizable, and we probably want to make it scaled to fit. Let's see if it will render. Sometimes my machine's a little bit slow. And then here, the big thing is, we should probably modify this text. So I'm going to go here, and I want to kind of keep this cool design I have. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And we're going to put it right here. All right. So, all right. And you know what? I just realized this correct is false down here. So let's do true. Kind of see what it looks like. Okay. So it's looking a little bit better. And then maybe down here we want to make this a button. So we'll just make this say next question. And then back in our content view, our choice grid view, I kind of liked all of this fun stuff we did here. So let's go ahead and just put that here as well. All right. One thing that I'll show you here is, not necessarily something that you need to do right now, but just something interesting, which is, you notice I did this a lot in all over my text. So what you could do, and what I saw, some other people do, is you could do something like create a new UI element or new view. So let's do a new view, and I saw someone do something called like reusable text. All right, and the idea is that in reusable text, we're gonna basically pass it a string of the text, and then maybe a size, because the biggest thing I've been changing is the size. And in here, all we're going to do is we're going to go back to our content view wherever I've been rendering this stuff. And maybe I'll copy this and go ahead and you put it in here. And maybe I also want to make the the foreground color black, something like that, right? And then here I'm going to pass these two. Test string, and the size will be 20. How about that? Something like that. And in here, instead of hello world, I'm going to pass in the word text. So basically, at a high level, right, size should be size. So I'm passing in the text and the size, and that way I can make this 50, make it really big. So that way, when I go back to my content view, instead of putting this over here, I can take this out actually. So size is 15 here. Let's take this out. I'm just going to call this reusable text, and we're going to call it our text is this, and our size is, let's call it, I think it was 15, right? Let's make it 20, make it a little bigger. So you have that now. And let me just try to pull this back. And then again, you can kind of use the same philosophy here, but take this and put that there. And then the size of this will be, 25. And then we take this out as well. And then in our kind of results view, you could also do the same thing here, right? Take this out. You could say reusable text, and let's say size 40, right? Because get it right, you got it really big. The same thing here, right? Reusable text, and we'll also make it the size 40. So the idea is that, instead of having to constantly change, if you wanted to change some of your whole system font layout, you could change it here and it'll apply throughout your entire application. And some people will actually do, multiple structs. So you can have another struct down here called, reusable text 2 with a couple different settings, and that way you can also, have different types of fonts. But now when you look at it, right, it's a little bit easier to read. Now we have just a gradient. You know that there's a question here, text here, an image, and then your choice grid down here. So we've kind of cleaned up a lot here. And the only thing I think I want to do last, because you kind of want to know how many questions you got right. So what we're going to do here, when you're all done, is we're not going to, we're going to say if we're all done, you got X questions right. So in order to do that, we are going to have to let's go back to our view model, all right? And in our view model, let's actually get another variable. We'll call it. Now, the other thing I could do is I could take this and I actually could put it in my quiz model over here as a total score. And I've been thinking, I thought about doing that as well, but it would require some changes in the code here to preserve that number. So we'll do it the easy way here, but maybe down the road I'll refactor it and make it a little bit better. So let's do two new functions. One is, I don't know what to call it, got it correct, right? And this will basically increment the number correct. And so what we'll do is just do the quiz engine VM dot number correct plus equals 1. So we're going to increment this number here, and then we'll have another function here called how many correct, right? And this will say returns the number correct. And we'll do something like this. All right. So that's what I'm thinking right now. And I think even later on, I expect a non-void. Whoops. So we're going to return int. So we're going to return a number correct. And I think that's pretty good. So in our results view, congratulations. We'll go with you're done with the quiz. And you know what? Let's use that reusable text that I just created. Reusable text. All right, and then let's make the size 40, and it'll say you got VM dot. Oops, I think it's the model. Oops. Let me make sure that I get this right. VM dot. So I'm trying to get my function to show up here. I'm not sure why it's not showing up. Let me just build real quick. See if I can. What did not like? Oh, let's do size 40. Let's see dot VM dot. Okay, there we go. How many correct? Questions. Yeah. Right. All right. So it'll give me that number. So one other thing right now is we have to increment that number, and we can do it in this part where we are, saying you got it right. Actually, I'm going to put this image in both places just to have it, but obviously you could do two different images, or you could just do one image, up here. But originally I was thinking like it'd be a happy turkey if you got it right, a sad turkey if you didn't get it right. But let's finish this off. So now we need to add to the total number correct. So basically have to call the function. got it correct, right? But it's not going to let me do this because of the way SwiftUI works. So usually you try to call a function when you do an onAppear, or like on a tap gesture, or you set a variable that's a Boolean, and then you trigger it, and then you can do this. For this purpose of this video and this thing, I'm going to do a little hack, which is basically letting a variable equal this, and because I do this, it'll actually let me run this function. Now this is not good coding practice, I would imagine, but it works, and let's see what we get now. So let's see, wild turkeys live in every US state except, so let's answer it incorrectly, Florida. Sorry, better luck next time. Next. What is a male turkey called? We'll get this one right, so we'll call it Tom, right? Congratulations, you're done with the quiz, you got one right. All right, so then maybe we can add a reset button. But at this point, this is how far I'm going to take this video. There was one other thing that I wanted to do, but this is getting a little bit too long. But I wanted to add a progress view here, and the idea would be that you have some sort of progress view here, and within this progress view, it would count down. And when it counts down, let's say like value 0.8, something like this. So this value would be a variable, and it would count down. And once they clicked on an answer, I would take whatever variable is there. So we would count it down, and that would add to their score. So maybe we start like 1,000 or something, and it would go down. But quite frankly, I think that could be like a whole video in itself. But if you wanted to try it, my suggestion would be to kind of create a new file and a new SwiftUI view. Maybe call it like timer countdown. And in this timer countdown, you're going to want to pull this progress view in there. And you probably are going to have some sort of timer, right? So you're going to probably want to do something like, let timer equal to timer.publish, and then I hit enter every 0.1 seconds, run on the main loop, on common, and then maybe you want to auto connect it. And then over here, you basically want to say on receive, timer, we're going to do something like, let's remove this, if current score is greater than 0, then we're going to do current score minus equals 0.01, something like that, right? So, and then this value will be current score, and we'll have to define a variable up here, so state variable, something like this. So this was my original thought, right? And then, okay, what is it complaining about? Something like this. And the idea would be that, once this starts and it loads up, right, it just starts counting down, right? And then you can insert this kind of in your view here. And then so this will count down. Once they click on it, you'd want to read whatever this current score is. You'd probably want to put this in the view model. But I think I'm going to leave it at this. This is almost an exercise for everybody. Maybe I'll go back and redo it with the actual progress bar. But the videos are getting pretty long as it is, and I think you're in a pretty good spot to create your own quizzes. I'll put this up on GitHub. You can pull it down from there. All right, thanks everyone.